Hello and good morning. My name is Tanya. I'm with Chronix Digital, and we are very excited to be hosting this hug today on all of the new updates in Sales Hub. I'm joined today by Product Marketing Manager Jan Bogaert, he's got all the dibs on everything we need to know for Sales Hub. So this hug group is actually the Caribbean Content Strategy Hub. But we know that the Caribbean is a small market, and all of us HubSpot users use so much more than just marketing, just sales. We're all over the place. So I am very excited that Jan is here today to talk with us about the Sales Hub updates. So I'm going to kick it over to you. And if there's any questions that you have as we go, drop them in the chat. I'll keep an eye on them and then interrupt as needed. And Jan's going to steer the ship from here.
Hi everyone, thank you, Tanya, for having me here, and thanks everyone for joining this hug. It's really cool. I haven't been to the Caribbean, but I think this is the closest that I'll get there at this stage of my life, at least. But yeah, I'm here to
Should
talk.
our next event be in person?
Maybe I'd love to join if you'll have me. But yeah, I'm very excited to be here and talk about Sales Hub. As Tanya told you, I am the product marketing manager. Well, I'm one of the product marketing managers for Sales Hub. What that essentially means is I work with our product team. They develop all of the tools related to Sales Hub, and then I help market it. And I work with our brand team, our email marketing team to make sure that everything that you read and learn about Sales Hub makes sense and is true to life as well. So yeah, I'm happy to kind of dig in here. I have a couple of slides prepared for you all that I want to showcase just to kind of set the stage. It'll take no longer than 5 minutes, but I just want to kind of tell the story of why we've made a couple of changes to Sales Hub, or why we're calling it like a relaunch as well. Because there are some big changes that we made that kind of, well, redefine the way that we want to talk about sales in the future. So starting with this, I'm not sure if anybody of you attended Inbound last year, but you might recall our CEO Yamini announcing that we're in this crisis of disconnection, right? It's affecting all of us. It's people and businesses everywhere that are feeling the disconnect from whether it's their family, friends, colleagues, but also from their customers. And one of those teams that we feel got particularly siloed off last couple of years are sales teams. That's, we've interviewed so many reps, and almost all of them told us one way or another that they felt when they were working that they were working alone, that they were, checking off boxes, sending out dozens of these emails at a time, and didn't really feel connected to their prospects and their customers at all. And on the other hand, and I think everybody here has probably experienced this to a certain extent, how many generic cold emails, LinkedIn messages, and calls do we get on a daily basis? It gets really tiresome. And I can't speak on behalf of you, of course, but I absolutely hate it when I get that. And the more generic they get, the more I hate them. So if our sellers are feeling disconnected and our buyers are feeling it too, that doesn't really leave us in a good spot, right? So we really reached a point where making sales is getting harder than ever, which I think is also a bit ironic because I don't think we've ever been, as sales reps, as empowered as we ever been before. There's this abundance of tools in the market that really helps sales reps get stuff done. So what's really going on here? And we've kind of put it into this, I would say, formula or equation. This is the formula that we call the old formula that worked for many years. And it starts with, one, you empower your reps with software to help them reach as many buyers as possible. And then you add point solution on point solution, and also a bit of AI as well to help them automate as many steps in between so they can perform as many activities as they can. And then secondly, you start just adding headcount, adding more reps to scale your team, scale your revenue, scale your numbers, because in the end, sales is a numbers game. And that was like the equation of reaching productivity. But due to, this crisis of disconnection, it's not really working all that well. Maybe because of the economy, a bit of in a slump. But in any way, the way we're doing sales doesn't really work as well anymore. So we at HubSpot, we of course we believe that it doesn't have to be that way. And in our internal research, it showed that the solution is actually a pretty simple one, and it's kind of I call it a return to form, because I feel like we kind of lost why we love doing sales in the first place. These past years, by focusing on increasing activities as like an indicator for how successful your team is, we've kind of forgotten that it was about connecting with people in the first place. It's not about checking boxes. It's about really establishing meaningful connections. And we've seen in our research that the best teams have shifted their focus from optimizing the number of activities that they perform in a day to refining the activities based on the outcomes that they drive. And the outcomes there are building relationships and connections at scale. And the key to all of that is what we feel is relevance, creating relevant connections, creating, sending out, establishing relationships based on relevant content that you send to your reps, to your prospect as well. And so, of course, we created this new equation to kind of counter what the old equation is. And this is what you can see here. So it starts by getting your reps focused on the right activities that are focused on establishing connections. It's then making sure that the reps that are carrying those out are as effective as possible. That's whether it's through AI, through tools that really make sure that the right kind of context is visualized when they're working those teams. And that really equates to additional productivity. So yeah, that's the new equation. And that's also why we've tried to make sure that Sales Up was relaunched. So the way we're launching Sales Up is really making sure that we're building these tools to make sure that your sellers are able to break through the noise and provide real value by surfacing the right kind of context to them at the right time, empowering them with AI as well, and then giving them a new workspace and tools that kind of bring all of that together. So that's kind of my pitch, why I wanted to kind of set the stage here. As part of the big Sales Up relaunch that we did back in September at Inbound 23, these were kind of the core areas that we I forget the word, but the core areas that we innovated on. It's prospecting smarter, it's accelerating revenue growth. That's all to do with like deal management. And then on the third, we added a bunch of new out of the box reports to help make sure that your sales managers and your sales leaders are able to get the right insights, but also coach their reps and grow the teams based on actual meaningful insights. So Tanya, I know you have a poll ready to go. The reason why I'm wanted to run this poll is because I wanted to hear from you as well. What sort of, because I'm here to do demos, right? I want to make sure that the demos that I give are the ones that you want to see. So we put all of these 7 categories in the poll. So feel free to vote on them, which ones you want to see, and then I'll get started with those.
So far, prospecting workspace is in the lead, followed by deal inspection, smarter sequences. The prospecting workspace is very cool, but it definitely takes a minute to get it. So I think that one will be a cool demo. Yeah.
I'll get started with that because I think it's probably like the most shiny new thing added to Sales Hub. We're calling it the prospecting workspace because it essentially brings everything together for your prospecting reps into one page. So this is the view that you would get. I think everybody can see my screen still, but this is essentially a personal view for your prospecting reps. So whether it's a BDR or an SDR, or maybe even just like a full cycle sales rep or account executive, this is everything that they can see on one screen to help them prospect and reach more prospects. So to get started here, you see that this is mine. I have admin privileges in this portal, but you can also see that I can definitely inspect other people as well. So if you're a sales manager, You can just go into all of these portals and kind of see what they're working on. These people are not doing anything, so I should probably follow up with them. But this is my personal portal, and you can see kind of tasks displayed here. These tasks are just pulled from the task object, and only the ones that are assigned to you are kind of visualized very neatly, bundled into due today, due overdue, or due tomorrow. And then they're also split up into to-dos, emails, calls, or the different kind of tasks that you have. If you have LinkedIn tasks as well, these will be also visualized here as well. The great thing about the prospecting workspace is because we're like giving you all of these different tasks listed in this easy way, it helps you really focus on the next best action to take, right? So if you wanna focus on sending out emails, it's very easy. You just click on emails. It will give you a queue of all of the emails that you need to send out, and you can just start sending out emails one after another, staying really focused on the thing that you're doing then, so that you can, of course, get more success with those emails. If you're spread thin and doing calls and emails and all the things, through each other, that won't really work, right? So it's better to stay focused on one task at hand, which is why we're doing these things here. If we scroll down a little bit, you can also see suggested activities. These are some prompts that HubSpot will give you once in a while, based on certain actions or events that took place in HubSpot. In this case, a new contact was assigned to me, and I can immediately reach out to that new contact. If, for instance, a contact would reply to me as well, another suggested action would appear next to it, saying like, "Hey, a contact replied to you. You better follow up with them immediately." All to push them to push prospecting reps to increase their chances of success. Another thing we see here are leads. I'll get to that in a second. But again, here you can reach out to your leads. And then if you have any tasks related to sequences, these will also appear here, but I don't have any sequences activated in this portal, so nothing to see there. Another nice thing is our schedule on the left-hand side. I'll get to that in a second. But essentially, if you integrate your own, in my case, it's a Gmail account, my Gmail calendar into HubSpot, it will display here. But if you're using Outlook, that calendar can also be displayed here through the Outlook integration. And last but not least, you also have like a nice little tracker here. So a progress bar, for instance, if I'm doing to-dos and I'm checking them off, you'll see the progress bar also progress, which really makes you kind of makes it a bit more, I think, it gamifies the way that as a prospecting rep, you're moving through your day. So you know how many tasks you have left to be completed, and you can kind of have like a leaderboard for yourself. I see there's a couple of things here in the chat. Tanya, just let me know if there's anything I should address.
Stephen has a good question about ABM tools and integrations. He's wondering if we can see any of that information in here.
ABM is something we're considering integrating into the prospecting workspace, but as of now, it's not yet the case. Intent-based data, that's a good point. I think the new contacts and what I previously said, like the contacts that replied, will also appear here. And we are, I think for next year, we'll be building that out and adding some more like suggestions for reps to take action on. That's a good point. Fantastic. I hope that answered your question, Stephen. If not, just let me know. Moving on, I think, yeah, appreciate it. Moving on, I think the next big thing that we're adding to the prospecting workspace is leads. So I want to get this, out of the way real quick. Leads is an entirely new object that we've added within HubSpot. Now we know, and I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Salesforce or with tools like Microsoft Dynamics. But if you do, you might think like, hey, is this similar to the leads object in Salesforce? And I'm happy to say it's not. It's totally different. Our leads object, it does not replace contacts in any way. As a matter of fact, it enriches contacts. The leads that you see here are all contact records. And you can see them here, where we have created a lead object onto them. So for instance, if we go into our contact records here, the leads object essentially works just like the deals or tasks. So if we go into this contact here, I can, just like I'm able to add a deal, I'm able to turn them into a lead by just clicking add. And that will allow me to create a lead. And that signals to not just myself, but also to the business and your sales leader that I'm ready. I think this is a good potential lead, and I'm ready to start working on them and trying to convert them into a deal. That's essentially what this does. It works similar to deals, but it decouples the whole prospecting flow from deal management because it requires a whole different set of tools, and it's just a different job to be done in general. So that's why we've created this new leads object. I'm not sure if this, I'm not the contact owner, so it won't be assigned to me. But there's so many people in this portal that just assign it to me, and then we will see if everything goes well in this demo. It'll be, they will be assigned to me in this portal as well. Might take me some time. But regardless, these are all new leads. Brian, you have to, I think, yeah, it won't be in your portal by default. You have to enable it. So if you go into prospecting, you have to, of course, have Sales Hub Professional at the very least. And then if you go into prospecting and you go through the leads tab, you should have a setup page. Will enable you to set this up and have the lead object. And then I see another question by Stephen, can automation route the lead to a BDR or other as appropriate? Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. That's the way we wanted to have this work. So by default, there's some automation built in. For instance, when a lead, when a contact reaches a certain lifecycle stage, you can have HubSpot automatically create a lead on your behalf. In this case, for instance, if it's a marketing qualified lead in this portal, that means marketing has nurtured the lead enough that there's enough like points for them to become qualified, and that means they can start to be worked by sales. In that case, a lead will be created in this portal, and if based on some rotation or workflows in the system, that if it's assigned to me, it will appear in this specific workspace for myself. And also vice versa, if a lead is created, it will also set the lifecycle stage to something else. I see some more questions coming in, so I want to make sure I get those. Is it right to say that the prospecting leads tool is a replacement of the lead status field in the contacts object? Yes, it absolutely can be a replacement of the lead status field. It doesn't replace the lifecycle stages, as I just said. It can be a replacement for the lead status. The stages that you'll see in the leads now we see a Willadine assigned to me. The stages that you'll see here are similar to the ones in the lead status field. But because it's now an object, it allows us to, well, it gives us much more historical data to report on. Whereas with the lead status field, it's very one-dimensional. You move a contact from one lead status to another, and you won't really have data when that happened, what were the activities leading up to that. Because we have this new object, we have all of these contacts, all of these things within that object to kind of give us a better picture of what's going on and why a lead converted in the first place. But yeah, that brings us to the new lead tracker. As we'll see here, these stages, the thing that I love about this, and our product team did a really good job, is most of these stages are automated. So for instance, we have Willadine here. If I were to, let's say, I won't call him or them right now, but if I, for instance, log a call, and this should work. Let's see here. The call was, we connected, we log a call. it automatically moves them into the next stage. Nothing from the admin side that I still have to do when I've completed this call. It'll move them automatically. And now, based on whatever workflows I have, I can follow up with them at a later stage. The next thing, should I, for instance, have a meeting logged, and I'll do that right now. I'll log a meeting with them, like meeting outcome completed. Maybe make some notes here. It'll automatically move them into the next stage, which is connected, which is also a great thing as well. Just fully automated, nothing that needs to be done from the prospecting side. They can immediately move on to the next prospect and just stay focused on doing one job at a time. And then the last stages, well, these are just as an FYI, these are default stages, right? So you can rename these, you can remove these or add stages to your pleasure. I'll go through that in a second. But then the next and the fourth option is either qualified or disqualified. For instance, let's say we've connected with Dean. I went through a couple of qualifying questions, figured out that there isn't really an urgency from their side to adopt our product, so I will disqualify them. Now this pop-up appears, which is also really neat. That helps us really states some. These are also state the reason why we disqualified this. In this case, there was no urgency, so let's click no interest. But it did say maybe in 3 months or so there might be some urgency, so I can immediately create a follow-up task for myself and add a note to follow up with them at a later stage. So that's awesome. Now, what if we qualify them? What if they are a good fit for our company and we want to pursue them? In that case, as you can see, immediately a deal creation panel appears. We're going to convert this lead into a deal, and then we can start nurturing them, making sure that we close the deal nice and fast. And we just fill this out and a deal will be created. So that's essentially the leads object, and I hope I'm not missing anything. Let me just, one more thing that I want to call out is, this is just for the prospecting workspace in general, something that I really like about it, is we are constantly prompting the BDRs or the SDRs working in this to schedule a next activity, just constantly keep a next activity up. So whether that's a call or to-do task, you can do it from all of here. So yeah, I'm very proud of this. There's this new lead management tool. So if you haven't noticed.
Yeah, and I have a quick question for you on disqualifications. Sure. When a lead is disqualified, does it automatically remove them as a lead from the lead tool, or do you have to manually do it, or do you recommend keeping those leads as disqualified?
That's actually an excellent question. So in case they're disqualified, let's disqualify Dean here. The lead object remains on their contact record. So if we go into the contact record here, we'll see that the lead is marked as disqualified. Now, because it's a lead object, you can have one-to-many relationships with this particular object. So one contact, just like you can have multiple deals attached to one contact record, you can now also have multiple leads attached to this one single contact record. The nice thing about that is if we create, let's say we've disqualified them because they have budget constraints, it's 6 months later, we're following up with them because we think they might have the budget right now. Now we can go through this entire new journey while not losing the data that we had from 6 months ago. We still have all of that. It can help us, give us context. That's also, the really nice thing about having this as an object as well. All right, there's a couple more things that I want to talk to you about the prospecting workspace before I move on to the next tool, and that's the scheduling window. So as I've said, if you have a Google Calendar, Outlook Calendar, you can integrate it with HubSpot, and it will automatically display your calendar here. So this is my personal calendar. There are a couple of things here, but if I have meetings with actual contacts in the CRM, for instance, I have a connect call and discovery call, it will display as yellow, so you can immediately see them, which is nice. But another thing that you see here is on the left-hand side, I can see the contacts that I have meetings with today. So in this case, it was Philippa. I think this is the call that I have right here. Or no, it's Desmond, of course. But you can launch in this meeting from here. But the really great thing, because they are highlighted on the left, if you want to prep for that meeting, you can quickly see their contact record. You can see where they are at in the leads stage, if there's any notes. You can check their contact information. All the associations are here as well. So it just brings everything together in this one spot to help you prep for that call. And as you can see here as well, when you've completed the call and you've not logged a meeting outcome, the tool will actually prompt you to update an outcome so that you can very quickly and easily keep the CRM clean as well and make sure that everything is in one place as well. And one thing that's also here that in this case, because this is a test portal, it's not super up to speed. But what the tool will also do is, for instance, based on data that we have from within HubSpot, we found that doing, for instance, cold calls in the morning works better than in the afternoon. The tool will actually give you a prompt just like this one here. Well, it's not here anymore. To like block this hour at 9 a.m., for instance, to just go through your calls if you have any tasks lined up, for instance. Also another way just to keep your reps focused and focused on one job at a time. Yeah, so that's the tool. And then we have the activity feed as well, which is the same one as you have here. Just move it to here, to the prospecting workspace now. But just in case you get notifications from people opening your email or looking at your documents, clicking your links, you'll get these prompts here. So you can also immediately follow up with them, because if they're looking at your email now, it's better to just reach out to them now at that point, instead of like waiting 2 days when you're not top of mind anymore. That's kind of the idea behind that. Yeah, that's the prospecting workspace. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns or anything that you want to share with me. Oh, I see there's one question already. How does the calendar sync with outbound emails? Can leads select a time that's available in your calendar in an automated way? Yes. So the way that we do this in HubSpot is through the meetings tool. So essentially, when you are reaching out, maybe through email to a certain prospect or a lead, you can create a meeting link in the meetings tool. For instance, this is my particular link. Let me show here. So I would share this specific link with them, and then they can book a meeting with me based on times that work for me. So in this case, I'm free at 6:45 p.m., which I should have blocked that off because that's maybe family time. But you can easily like book time with me, and you can of course customize this any way that you want. That's how that works. All right, moving on. Let's see here. Tanya, maybe you can help me move on to the next tool. What's the second most upvoted one?
Yes, our next topic of interest was smarter sequences.
Smarter sequences, that's a good one. So I'm not sure how familiar you all are with sequences, but what sequences help you to do is essentially create or actually automate a kind of a nurture flow. So for instance, if you have a list of prospects that you want to reach out to, and you have to remember what you want to do each and every day to reach that prospect or to convert that prospect into an actual like deal or into pipeline, that can be hard. So by creating a sequence, you can actually create different steps. The one might be to set an automated email, and then there's a prompt maybe 3 days later to also send them a manual follow-up email. It'll also help automate the creation of tasks, to-dos, or even LinkedIn Sales Navigator task as well. So that's essentially what sequences help you do, because I think in our research, we found that it can sometimes take up to maybe 15 touches. So whether it's like a LinkedIn connection request or an email or a follow-up or a call, it can sometimes take up to like 15 touches to actually convert a lead. So this will help you, enroll contacts into a sequence, so you can, stay on top of stay on top and on track to convert them. The reason why we're calling them smarter sequences is because we are adding a lot of insights and ways for you to turn your sequences into a more, we call it like a more scientific approach. You can really measure how your sequences are running, how much revenue they are generating. For instance, if I click on this here, I hope it'll, well, this one is maybe a bad one. This is, of course, a test portal, so forgive me for not having up-to-date information here, but maybe let's look at this one and hope it's better. It's not, well, it's at least not worse. But for instance, this is what we call a new outcome report. So for each and every sequence that you have, you can see what the deal creation rate is, how much revenue, if that deal closed, how much revenue it generated, how many meetings came from it. So you can really start to optimize your sequences towards those outcomes. Like I said in the very beginning of this speech, we've been so focused on carrying out activities, and all of these are activities, but what we really want to focus on is getting outcomes and really generating revenue with our sequences. So this really helps surface that. The next thing is, of course, you can see per step what the meeting rate is. Like, for instance, if they're on step 2 and then they generate the meeting, you can see it from there, how many clicks, how many replies. So you can start to see which steps convert the best. And then the third thing that I'm also super excited about is the fact that you can do A/B testing. So if you're in marketing, you are probably very familiar with A/B testing. You essentially send your audience, do a split test, essentially. You split your audience in two and give them two versions. And then based on the one that does well, you can, which one, converts the most. You can now do the same with your sequences. So if you have an automated email, for instance, you can add a A/B test, select another one of your templates, for instance, this one, and just turn it on. And the system will then, at random, send out these two different emails at your prospects and automatically, pick the one that has the best conversion rate and stick with that one. And it's not just automated emails. You can also do it with manual follow-ups. I think, let me see. Well, it's just emails, I think. Yeah, exactly. So just emails, of course, which makes sense. So those are like the three core new additions that we brought to sequences: A/B testing, sequence outcome report, which you can see at the top here, and then also the step level analytics. Oh, and I see there's a new question as well, so let's address that one. We previously used Calendly, but now we use the HubSpot meeting scheduler, so we have been able to cancel Calendly. Are there any other solid examples of being able to consolidate tools with the new features in Sales Hub 2.0? Yeah, I would say there's a couple things that you could do. I think with the prospecting workspace, I'm not sure if the prospecting workspace has the potential to replace other point solutions like SalesLoft, because it really bundles everything together and it's built on the CRM, so it has everything at one place. So I think that's one call out. And let me look at my slides here. And then, I mean, it depends on what kind of point solutions you're using on top of HubSpot as well, of course. But I think the meeting scheduler is a big one. SalesLoft, potentially, depending on your use case. Also, like sequences, it's also something SalesLoft does very well that we've improved as well. So yeah.
I would also chime in some of the new calling tools. have helped our clients move away from like Ring Central or Air Call. Depending on your use case, you might be able to do all of your outbound calling from within HubSpot with the calling minutes.
Yeah, that's a really good call out. I wasn't focused on it because we didn't really innovate on it for the new relaunch. But it's a really great call out. We recently launched inbound calling as well, so you can just open up. Well, it's not of course enabled on this portal, but you can just open it up, have a tab open, and any calls coming into your system, you'll be able to respond to them directly. And I think another great one that we have is on the sales side, at least, is the ability to have chats that's in conversation, actually have a chat flow on your website to generate leads there instead of using other point solutions.
Related to calls and conversations, I got a DM question about conversation intelligence. Is that part of Sales Pro?
That's part of, well, it's part of Pro in the sense that it'll allow you to transcribe, and I'll go into settings so you can see what I mean. So I think if we go into, is it calling? If you go into like calling and transcription and analysis, you can turn that on, and that's essentially our conversation intelligence tools that lets you get real-time insights into your customer conversations and coaching opportunities. There's one feature though that's not in Sales Hub Pro, which is track terms. For that, you need Sales Hub Enterprise. But essentially, this will analyze, well, the artificial intelligence will analyze your calls for specific terms that you want tracked. So for instance, in our case, I want to track for HubSpot and CRM and make sure how they're talking about them, what they think, what our customers think about that, and then have analysis and coaching opportunities based on that. And then I see a question, a DM sent to me, can we track the messages into HubSpot which are sent from Sales Navigator? That's actually a really good point. So I know that currently that is not the case. And I know that because we are working on a new LinkedIn Sales Navigator integration. So the way that this LinkedIn Sales Navigator integration works right now, it's essentially, it's called like an iframe, which basically means that you can open it up from within HubSpot, but there is no sync or integration within HubSpot. So if you log a message in LinkedIn Navigator, you have to also manually log that message within the CRM if you want to keep track of it there as well. That's of course doing double work, not very nice. So the integration that we're building is actually prompted by LinkedIn. So they reached out to us and selected us from, I think it's only like maybe 2 or 3 actual vendors in the market that they want to build a deep integration with. So that will allow you, if you're for instance looking in LinkedIn, you can see which contacts are in the CRM. If they're not, you can create them from the LinkedIn from LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Another thing that will help a lot of folks, and also to your point, if we're sending them an email, it will automatically log in the CRM as well. So you'll be able to see in the contact, I think activity feed, you'll be able to see which emails they've received. Yeah, so I think it's still very early, still in development, private beta, I would say, and only a handful of customers are testing it out. But that's the functionality that I've seen so far. So I hope that answers your question.
Awesome.
All right.
Our next section that people are interested in is deal inspection.
Deal inspection, really, really solid topic here. So our deal management tools, I think we're already pretty great, but we made some great, really awesome innovations on top of them as well. There are 3. There's deal tags, deal insights, and the new deal inspection view. I'll start with deal inspection view because I think it's probably like the least flashy one, I would say. But essentially, if we're in our this is our deal board with all of our deals. We can see each stage and where they are at in the system. One thing that was like a minor gripe that our customers had and they couldn't do was just quickly inspect them. The side panel would now flows out, and you can very easily see like, okay, what's the deal amount? Where are we? What are some recent activities? Is this deal getting stale? Should we try to reach out to them and have it move forward? That's something that you can do very quickly right now from the deal board. Previously, you would also always be redirected into the actual deal, which just brings you out of the overview and just doesn't give you much more context as well. So by bringing this deal inspection view out there, you can very easily just scan different deals and see how they are. Definitely, I think as a sales leader, that's an interesting feature. But the really cool stuff I think we've added is the new deal insights that you can see here at the top. You can of course hide these if you want, but I'm not sure why you would. This gives you a really high level top view of what your deal pipeline is looking like and where you're trending for the rest of the day. So you can see your average deal age, you can see how much is newly created, you can see your close won amounts, total deal amount as well, just from one glance. Previously, you would also always need to either create a dashboard or go into our sales reports to see that. Now it's immediately in the deal board, just giving you again the context and the insight that you need to kind of make decisions on how to beat your targets for the month. And then the third and probably the coolest feature that I would say are the new deal tags. You can see a couple of examples here, but these again help you visualize, contextualize where each deal is in at the moment. So for instance, we can see here, there's a deal here with TGR Designs. You can see they're a good filled, they're high value because they're over 5K, and there's high intent. So they've responded or engaged with a lot of our sales reps. Those kind of insights you would have to really look for, or you wouldn't just know them at all. The way that you create these deal tags is simply you go into settings, you go into object and deals, and then you click on, I think it's pipelines, and then customize deal tags. So these are just there's a couple of that are custom created, but of course you can create your own, and then edit them based on filters. You can set these up any way you want as well. And that's a very short overview of the new deals innovations as well.
I think that one was a good segue into forecasting intelligence, which is a question we get a lot from our clients.
All right, so the new forecasting tools has been upgraded with a couple of new features. Let's move back to this screen here so I can tell you. So essentially, we are adding a new accuracy tracking to forecasting, which I think as a sales manager, this will help you make sure that each and every rep, you can see the manual forecast that they've submitted. You can see how accurate they were based on the closed amounts. So for instance, if you have a sales rep that's constantly forecasting that they will be closing at the end of the month, maybe a 5K or random 5K amount, and they end up closing at 2K, their accuracy will be very low. And you as a sales manager can kind of intervene, coach them, and help them maybe create more accurate forecasts in the future. I don't think we have a lot of forecast users here, but I think, let me see. It should, yeah, I don't think this is on this portal right now. apologies for that. So I can't showcase it to you directly. But if you have a lot of like, because these are all not real users, you will be able to see that there. Oh, I think, yeah, like I said, like this is where you can find the forecast accuracy, but it's not available because these aren't really real users. So apologies for that. But if you're using forecasting in Sales Hub Professional, you'll be able to kind of see your forecast accuracy for each and every one of your users. The other thing that we've added are forecasting insights, and these are very similar to the deal insights. These are just general data that you can see always at the top of the page with your closed amount, what the gap is, what the forecast submissions are, and how you're overall trending, so that if you're a sales manager and you're reviewing your forecasts, you can see if there's anything that should be addressed, or if everything's trending easily. But talking about trending, I think the coolest thing that we're adding is AI forecasting. This is currently still in private beta, so you probably won't see it in your portal yet, unless you're, of course, ungated to it. But AI forecasting, what this will help your sales managers do is essentially give them a bit of a barometer. This will help you compare the manual forecast that your sales team is submitting each and every month or every quarter compared to what the AI thinks where you'll end up for that month. So it'll give you an uppercase, a lowercase, and a most likely scenario of where you'll end up, and then you can see that and compare it to your forecast submission. If it's way off, of course, this data isn't accurate, so that's why it's way off. But if it's way off, you can intervene and kind of immediately talk to your sales reps and kind of see why this is the case, and coach them to make sure that they're submitting proper submissions as well. But as with all things, it's AI, so you need to make sure that, and I think there's some prompts here as well. You need to make sure that the data in your system is clean enough for it to make these accurate and reliable forecasts as well.
Yeah, and I have a question for you on the forecast.
Sure.
On what's included. Does it by default include all pipelines, all deals, or can you filter and segment and say, there you go.
Yeah, you can segment.
Other question would be with the users. Does it include all deals from all users? Or we have noticed with some reports that like it won't include non-Sales Pro users?
Yes, forecasting will only display users with a paid seat, if I recall correctly. So they need to have that paid seat in order to be included in the forecasting report. All right, and that's everything I think there is to say about forecasting. But if you want me to, talk about something more in depth, just let me know as always. But the last things that we should probably talk about before, and I see we're already at 50 minutes in. So the last thing that I want to talk about are the new reports that we've added to Sales Hub. Out of the box reports. So these you're not really required to change them at all. These are just out of the box. You can immediately add them to your dashboard or just consult them from the sales analytics tool. But there's a couple. Of course, we've added this new lead object, so we would be remiss of not adding an actual report to help you support that. And you can find that in the lead funnel report. Here you can see all your open leads, what your conversion rate is, the average time for the first touch, and also the outcome associated with them. And you can see for each and every one of your reps how they are doing, how many leads they are assigned, how many open leads, what their conversion rate is, to just help that. Again, this is all about coaching and making sure that each and every one of your reps is performing the best that they can. And you can also see lead conversion right here based on all of these stages. Let me see. And then there's also the lead journey report, which I think is pretty cool. So this will help you track the journey that your leads goes through. So per stage, you can see what the drop-off rate is. So for instance, we have 1,200 new leads, but only 1,000 have currently been actually approached by our reps. And of those 1,000, only 44 are currently in connected. So that's maybe not the best rate, but in this case, you can really see how they're going. It's a Sankey chart, but you can also convert into a funnel if that's more to your liking. One thing that I do have to say though, if you're using the new leads object, and you might find that this is not exactly showcasing the right ones, by default, it will still show the life cycle stages. So you can change that very simply by editing the stages, unchecking these, and then checking the lead stages instead. So that's how that works. And instead of like a chart, you can also see more of a sheet like display as well. Let me see. There are, what else did we create? Let me go to my sheet here. We had the new prospecting activities report. So this new report, apologies, is split up in different tabs. Essentially, these are the core tasks or activities that a rep would carry out. So completing just general tasks like doing research, performing calls. And once again, you can see for each and every one of your reps how their call performance is, how many calls they're doing, how many voicemails they're leaving, what the average call duration is, and so on. Again, so if you want to coach your reps on being better at doing cold calls, for instance, this is how you can have all the data to do that. But the same goes for meetings and the meeting outcomes they're driving, meeting like the no-show rates they have, their daily averages. That's it's all in there, all for you to help coach your reps. And if you want, you can of course filter them, and so on. And the last two reports out of the box reports that we've added are related to deals. It's the deal funnel report and the sales velocity report. Deal funnel report can be found under forecasts and pipelines. And this is, well, this is not new, this is updated, so apologies for that. This used to exist, but the problem with it is that it didn't really capture a drop-off rate. So when deals move from one stage to another, but maybe skip a certain stage, those skips weren't included. So our team reworked this entire deal report to make sure it's more accurate and reliable when you're having these coaching conversations with your reps. So that's been updated. And if you're on Sales Up Enterprise, you'll also see the deal journey. So very similar to the lead journey one, you'll now see a deal journey one, report here as well. And if you're on Sales Up Enterprise, you'll be able to turn this into a Sankey chart to also get the same kind of flowy visual of how your leads are going through the stages. And again, this takes into account skips, so you can see if a deal went immediately from appointment scheduled to close. You'll see that represented here as well, which is really cool. And that actually brings me to another thing called the deal journey analytics. This is not an out-of-the-box report. This does require Sales Up Enterprise, but now I think earlier this year we launched customer journey analytics, and now you're actually also able to visualize that for the deals. So that's the exact same thing as I just showed, but the way you can create a deal journey report is by going into report builder, and then you click on the customer journey report. And instead of contacts, you now click on deals. And that's essentially what there is to it. You drag and drop the stages that you want to look at. And then I think you probably also have to set the date range at one point. And then you just create that and export it into your dashboard. As easy as that. and I'm kind of powering through these. So sorry if I'm not giving too many details here. The very last report that I want to talk to you about is the sales velocity report, which is brand new. And this helps you just get a better idea of your sales velocity and how you can improve it. So ideally, we want to close deals as fast as possible. This will help you kind of see all the information related to that, so you can improve those deal close rates. Yeah, that's everything. There's 4 minutes left, so if there's any last questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Well, keep an eye on the chat for any questions that come in, or feel free to come off mute if we don't have any. Thank you for joining us today. This was incredibly insightful. Even as someone that uses the sales tools every day, there are so many changes that it's helpful to see it again and see it with a different account. I got a lot out of this. I hope everyone else did too. It was a pleasure to have you today, Jan. If you do an in-person hug in Belgium, I would love to come. So you let me know. If you're ever down in the Cayman Islands, you're free to come here and we'll do an in-person event too.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks for coming, everyone. If you have any other follow-up questions, anything else you want to dive into, feel free to shoot me an email. My email is in all of the event reminders, so you can just let me know and I can hook you up with Jan or help you out myself if I can. And thank you for coming. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.